There are few things more serene than a spring morning on a quiet farm, where the only sounds are chirping birds and the gentle hum of bees at work. I had just finished my coffee and was halfway through inspecting my beehives when I spotted something that twisted my gut. A row of pastel balloons swayed near my old shed, the one I'd marked with 3 clear warning signs. In front of it stood a folding table draped in lace, fine china being arranged, and the piercing cackle of HOA President Linda slicing through the calm like a siren at midnight. What was she doing? Why were chairs being unloaded from SUVs? Why was a Bluetooth speaker blasting music near the hive entrance? Worst of all, I saw kids skipping toward the shed, oblivious to the swarm of bees already stirring from the perfume and noise. My coffee mug hit the dirt, shattering as I sprinted toward what I knew would be a costly catastrophe. 3 days earlier, I'd received a notice from the HOA demanding I attend a community review about my unkempt and unsupervised shed. They claimed it was an eyesore violating their visual harmony rules. I explained via email and voicemail that the shed wasn't abandoned. It housed 8 active beehives critical to my honey production and orchard pollination. I sent diagrams, photos, and timestamps to prove it. But Linda, the kind of person who thinks her HOA title makes her royalty, wasn't satisfied. She once fined a neighbor for unruly marigolds and tried to outlaw birdhouses. My farm, just outside HOA jurisdiction, had been her obsession for years. She seemed to believe sheer willpower could annex it. So when I saw her setting out teacups inside my apiary, I stormed down the path, stopping short to avoid startling the bees. Linda smirked. "Oh, there you are. We're using this space for our spring social. It's perfect for a garden party theme," I shouted. "Linda, that shed is full of bees. You're in a hive zone," she laughed. "Nonsense. I'd know if there were bees. I'm allergic." She waved off my protests, claiming the 3 warning signs, 2 on the shed and 1 on the fence, were prank stickers. Then I saw her teenage son spraying citrus-scented air freshener on the shed door as guests arrived. That was it. I turned and walked back to the barn. I could either scream and escalate the chaos or let nature take its course. I chose nature. 5 minutes later, the screams began. A woman fled the shed, swatting at bees with her hat, yelling, "They're everywhere!" Kids bolted, chairs toppled, a tea tower spilled. One guest face planted into a tray of scones. Linda, clutching her teacup, shouted, "Stay calm!" just as a bee buzzed past her ear. She flailed like she was fending off a dragon. From the barn, I watched with my dogs, their tails wagging as a cloud of confused bees formed. It wasn't an attack, just irritated bees reacting to scents and movement. But to the Tea Party crowd, it was a horror film. Heels scattered, hats flew. One man dove into a kiddie pool someone had inexplicably brought. The sheriff arrived 15 minutes later, lights flashing. I showed him security footage of Linda removing my warning signs the night before and carrying decorations into the shed. He nodded, then surveyed the chaos. "Your bees might have just saved the neighborhood," he said. He approached Linda, now icing her swollen face and demanding to press charges. He asked if she had permission to use the shed. She didn't. He asked if she knew about the bees. She lied. He pointed to my barn camera. "We've got footage of you removing those signs. You trespassed, endangered kids, and disrupted an agricultural operation. You're not pressing charges, you're facing them." I thought that would end it. But the next morning, my mailbox held an HOA envelope stuffed with forms accusing me of aggressive beekeeping, intentional endangerment, and my favorite, chemical bee warfare. Linda claimed I'd lured her group onto my land to attack them with hostile insects. I laughed but knew I had to respond. My lawyer, amused, said, "This will collapse faster than her tea party." Then animal control showed up, tipped off by an anonymous report about unregistered livestock. I showed them my bee licenses and pristine operation. The officer left, admitting he'd been told my bees were genetically modified super predators. That night, the internet exploded. A Tea Party guest uploaded footage of the chaos, screaming guests, Linda yelling about allergies, and a woman shielding herself with a paper plate titled "Queen Linda versus the real queen bees." It went viral. Memes flooded X. I got bee-themed gifts, including a mug reading "Hive and Let Cry." Even the sheriff sent a bee with sunglasses gif labeled Buzzkill Unit. Linda, undeterred, held a press conference ranting about suburban anarchy and rogue agriculture. A reporter asked if she'd considered not trespassing. She dodged. Another showed drone footage. I'd provided video catching her removing my signs. Her guilty face was freeze-framed on the evening news. Then a board member, Tom, revealed Linda's motive. Over pie, he confessed she'd been plotting to expand HOA boundaries by staging events on my land, claiming it as community space. If she succeeded, my farm would fall under HOA control. I filed a zoning complaint backed by the State Beekeeping Association, accusing her of illegal land use. My mailbox filled with frantic HOA threats, including a shady cease and desist demanding my footage. I tacked it to the fridge next to a kid's drawing of a bee chasing Linda. Her empire crumbled. Neighbors questioned HOA spending. $2,000 on tea sets and sugar cubes, not sidewalks. Lisa, another board member, uncovered unapproved party expenses, including a bee-repellent mist. An emergency meeting ousted Linda from leadership. That evening, neighbors dropped off thank yous and honey labeled anti-Linda sweetness. But I knew Linda wouldn't vanish quietly. She'd regroup, strike back. I had one final move, a sting she'd never see coming. Days later, county inspectors arrived, sent by Linda's complaint about my hazardous farm. I gave them a tour, orchard, greenhouses, and the shed. They were impressed. One said, "This is the best managed farm we've seen." Linda's 6-page complaint claiming my bees were trained to attack HOA uniforms was dismissed. Then I found gold. Barn camera footage from the night before the tea party. Linda, in a hoodie, tore down my signs and taped up a fake HOA event flyer implying I'd approved her party. This wasn't negligence, it was criminal tampering. My lawyer called it the smoking bee smoker. The sheriff filed a report with the DA neighbors, fed up with Linda's tyranny, signed a community complaint detailing her abuses with viral videos, drone footage, and my barn camera. We had her cornered. Linda's composure cracked. She skipped meetings, snapped at allies, and faced mounting scrutiny. Lisa's audit exposed her financial misconduct, sealing her suspension. I hosted a honey festival. Vendors, musicians, and even the mayor came. Kids wore bee costumes. My niece sold buzz-off, Linda signs. Linda lurked at the edges, fuming. I handed her a jar of Queen Bee's revenge honey and walked away. The final blow? I'd secured a county designation for my land as a pollinator sanctuary, legally shielding it from HOA overreach. At a quiet ribbon cutting, we toasted with lemonade and bee-shaped cookies. Linda's last act was a bitter note. "You've lost respect." I used it as hive lining. Her house went up for sale. She vanished. My farm thrived, school trips, community gardens, and a new HOA focused on real issues. The shed, once her target, became an education center, a symbol of resilience. Moral of the story: bullies like Linda thrive on silence, but truth and nature hit harder. My bees didn't just protect the hive, they exposed a tyrant. Stand firm, stand lawful, and let the buzz do the rest. Hit that like button if you've ever had to deal with a Karen like this. Drop a comment with your HOA horror story, and subscribe for more real stories that prove